to clarify the quorum situation for us, confirm that we have quorum now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to note that our commission chairperson, Mary Cram, is on the roll, and so she has asked Mr. John Burrell to take her place to chair the meeting today. And I would note there's 6 members of the commissions present, and our office managers taking those attendance. And we have the 6 that's required for a quorum for meeting, so it can officially take place. And just want to note that for commissioners who joins or virtually have to meet the Open Meetings Act for those exceptions, and Mary's Ms. Kate Cram is on the roll in Meetings Act, so we won't be counting her for that. But if there's another member that I'm expecting to join, but he's not there yet, so when he joins, and from what I know, yeah, he should meet one of those exceptions according to the Open Meetings Act. And with that, we have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks, Ray. I think we'll wait till Dr. Irwin joins us, and we'll ask him then to tell us a little bit about himself. So we have attendance. Is there any public comment for this meeting?
We have not received any requests for public comments. And if I may, if you like, I can introduce, we have 2 new staff members.
Oh, yes, please do.
We have 2 new staff members who join us subsequent to our last meeting. And our new office manager, executive assistants, Katie McShane. If you would like to say a few words to introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Katie McShane. I grew up here in town. I graduated from Central Catholic and graduated with my bachelor's from Illinois State. I came over from the Panagraph. I worked there for several years as a circulation manager. So that's a little about me.
So,
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so she's Melissa Robinson, and so we've got to have Katie with us. We have another new kind of staff members, but it's kind of a unique situation. As you may know, every year, or at least in the last few years, we have a fellow from ISU at the Stevenson Center, and this year we have Cassidy Kramer. And would you like to introduce yourself? Okay.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Cassidy. I am pursuing a degree in political science, and I'm a student as well, as Ray mentioned. And so I'm just happy for this experience and interested to see how it's going to go. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So she will be with us for 11 months, according to our agreement with the ISU Stevenson Center. With that,
Welcome, both of you. So everybody will have received the consent agenda now, and if does anyone have any requests that any of these items be removed from the consent agenda and dealt with? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve to accept the consent agenda as submitted. Second, thank you. So that takes us to the regular agenda. There were, sorry. Yeah, it's been a while. I apologize. we should. Is there any discussion on that motion? First of all, if not, all in favor? Aye. It's unanimous. All right. There were no items removed from the consent agenda. So the next item on the agenda is the approval of the overall work program, and I'll ask the staff to tell us what's involved there.
Thank you. Just for the benefit of some of the newer members, just give a little more background to this kind of annual budget process, because it takes place annually, so we probably don't have to repeat again, until next year. Because this is great opportunity for me to explain briefly the process. the staff, every year we have to work with 5 fiscal years. It is so unique, but we do have to work with 5 fiscal years from the federal, the state, county, the city, and town. But more so for the county and the feds in the state. And they have different times for the fiscal year for the starting date. The feds in October, and then the state is I forget it. It's July 1, and then the county is January 1, and then the city and town like May and April or something. But it's just different times of the year. For us, 2 primary budgets that we have to work on and prepare. One is called the UWP, Unified Work Program, and it's with IDOT, Illinois Department of Transportation, with their fiscal year starts July 1st. And then the other is the county budget, the fiscal year starting on January 1. As you recall, we mentioned a few months ago, the OWP, the UWP, the IDOT, the stage one. It does not require your approval, but we want to bring it to your attention for informational purposes, because the approval of that budget is really upon the Transportation Policy Committee in IDOT's eyes, and because we have 2 roles. One is because we are MPO, is Metropolitan Planning Organization. So with this transportation related UWP, the budget related to transportation planning projects, programs. So that's done for upcoming FY 2022 that started 2 months ago. And then the second major budget that we have to work on, be content with, is the county budget. And for FY 2022, it will start January 1 in a few months. So with the county, not just the MCRPC, but other county departments and the administration, we all are working on the county budget right now to be presented to the full county board. So for us, we have this document called OWP, the overall work document that's associated with the county fiscal year. For the other, like the federal government and the state, we can't work with them because they are kind of related for transportation. But with the city and the town, we are more kind of work as a recipient of the CDBG, the Community Development Block Grant money. And then, so we have staff, as you know, on housing primarily. That's because we got money under the CDBG program. And so we are subject to that, not just the federal money from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, but also the county and the city have their own fiscal years. But just to keep it simple, keep in mind 2 major documents. You will hear us or see it, the UWP and the OWP. So today is the OWP that we're looking at. 2 weeks ago, the executive committee of the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this document and this proposed budget for FY 2022. And that was kind of the first 4-step approval process for the budget. So this today is the step 2 with the full Planning Commission. The other 2 remaining steps are the county board's executive committee and then the full county board. So after today, if you all would approve our budget, 2 more steps for us to do, and those will take place in October and also November. And so just give you a sense of that process and what we have to deal with. So going to what we have to look at specifically for FY 2022. In addition to that document, the overall work program, I assume you'll have a chance to read this. And staff have put together more like a summary chart and table, which hopefully will give you more like a synopsis and overview of what we are proposing. Also, so the overall budget this upcoming fiscal year is $944,422, which is close to 8% drop from last year, but don't be alarmed. Our agency is primarily grant funded. So depending on the different grants and we complete the project, so it will be out of the picture, or we need new grants, or we have separate contractual agreement with, for example, the Connect Transit, and then we have some local contributions. We also annually, we got contributions from the county, from the city, as well as the town also. So different funding sources. And so it's depending on the work program. So if we have a drop in the budget, doesn't mean that it's a budget cut. It's just depending on the nature of the grants and the duration of those grants and the progress that we're making on those grants. So with that said, as that on that table, which the top part it represents the expenses, and then the lower portion represents the revenue. And so they are balanced. It's based on different line items, different work hours, by staff members, and corresponding to the different work elements as well as the different funding sources. So that's that table is for. And if I may turn your attention to that pie chart, and that identifies the different revenue sources, funding sources. As you can tell, the three primary ones are from the federal, state, as well as the local. And we broke it down into a little bit more detail in each items, the different dollar amounts. And so that gives you like an overall idea of what we have in place as our proposed FY 2022 budget. And so I'm open for questions. There's a lot of material information. I suppose you get a chance to review, and if any specific ones, I'll be happy to try to answer. But if you would also note that we have included the draft minutes from the executive committee meeting 2 weeks ago. Hopefully that shed some light of the discussion, and so I'm here to answer the questions you may have.
Questions, anybody? Hearing none, I think motion to approve the overall work plan is in order now.
Oh, if I may, sorry, is it?
Oh, Dr.
Yeah, Burrell. Yeah, just saw that. Just for the record, Dr. Irwin just joined us virtually, and he meets one of the exceptions of the Open Meetings Act for attending the meeting virtually as well as to vote. I just want to recognize him.
So we can just break here. Welcome, Dr. Irwin.
Can you hear us okay?
Hello, yes, I can hear you. I was also had trouble logging on, and I was listening in on the other channel where you can just hear but could not comment. And I finally was able to get logged on. Sorry about that.
Dr. Irwin, it's your first time. Would you be willing to just tell us a bit about yourself for a few minutes?
Sure. I'm sorry that I was late joining. Tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a person that grew up in the Danvers area. My parents' farm out there. Went to Illinois State University, went into education, was a school administrator, teacher for 33 years. And we moved back to the Bloomington area about 15 years ago. And I wanted to stay involved in education, so I ran for the school board, Bloomington School Board, and I guess the rest is history. Now, you would think that after being an administrator for that long, why would you want to be on the school board? And sometimes I wonder about that. But anyway, I'm glad to be here and to represent District 87.
Thanks, Dr. Earl.
And welcome.
Okay, yes, and welcome. Jumping back to the overall work plan, if there are no questions, we'd be open for a motion to approve it.
I just have one quick question. So is it correct then that the grant ran out on the rural planning? But is there still work to be performed on that element?
That's true. Yes, exactly. And very good question. So the work to be performed, will use some other grants, other funding sources, because we're still working on planning for some rural areas, especially part of the regional plan update. So while the rural planning grant expired, so sometimes we have to like work creatively because of all the different grants. But yeah, this good question. Yes, we will continue the work on the rural planning, just through other funding sources.
Okay, is there a motion for approval?
So
The seconder? Michael? Any discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? No, it's unanimous. All right, we go now to items for information or discussion. And again, first we'll turn over to Warren Gibson.
All right, so I'm just going to give a quick update on what we've been doing on the housing front over the past month. So most of you are aware we've been doing the Housing Assistance Coalition since May 2020, and that's the group of organizations that have kind of come together to address housing insecurity during COVID. So a few stats on that. $436,000 in housing assistance was provided locally in July. And so we're at a total of over 4.35 million provided since May of 2020. So we're pretty proud of that number. You may have heard that the federal or the CDC moratorium was vacated by the Supreme Court, but the state eviction moratorium is still in place right now through September 18th, and we expect that it'll also be extended again. Also to note that the state has announced that they will have an additional round of rent and mortgage assistance to open sometime in the fall. We heard September, then we heard November, so we really don't know, but we're going to keep tabs on that. Moving over to our housing data work, the biannual update to the McLean County Housing Data Dashboard is complete, and it is available on our website if you would like to check that out. Moving on to housing research, the 2021 update to a white paper where we talk about the types of income qualified housing and the types of vouchers that are in our community. That paper is in progress right now, but we do have some preliminary data on low-income housing tax credit properties, their gains and losses that we wanted to share. So between 2020 and 2021, 2 LIHTC properties, and if you're not familiar with what LIHTC is, it's a credit through the federal government where properties are able to keep their rents lower for lower income tenants that are at 60% AMI or below. That's a area median income. So between 2020 and 2021, 2 LIHTC properties with a total of 219 units became inactive, so they left the program and therefore lost their restrictions for income qualified persons. But the county also gained 1 LIHTC property with a total of 56 income restricted units. So we're still waiting on some verification on some other units, but we will have that data soon and let you know when it's published. We also drafted a research brief and a presentation on the recently passed State Housing Bill 2621, which provides for a reduction in assessed valuation for affordable housing construction and rehab. Although this program won't go into effect for another year, we wanted to kind of be ahead of the game so that our community is prepared for when it comes. And then finally, as related to the budget, we did receive and execute our FY 2022 contract for our normal CDBG portion at $24,000. And happy to take any questions.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Is there going to be an issue for the state being at odds with what the federal ruling is on?
No, so basically, what happens in the courts is they go by whatever's the most restrictive. So, and ever since kind of the beginning of the pandemic for us, that's been the state.
Okay, I was worried about not only the rental people, but also the owners of the buildings and how either one of them navigate this if there's an.
Yeah,
Complicated.
basically, yeah, we work very closely with Curtis State Legal, who's really involved in this, and they say it's kind of a changing situation sometimes on a daily basis, but thankfully we've got kind of an eviction prevention program going in conjunction with the courts so that when people come for eviction cases, we're matching that and their landlords up with the system.
Okay, thank you.
Has there been any discussion on what's going to happen with the IAQ Redbird space that's on Shelbourne?
I have not been a party of any of those discussions, so I'm unaware at this time.
It certainly seems as though there's a lot of potential housing there, but it may be that it isn't usable.
It's been sitting vacant for more than a decade, so.
I live up that way and I wonder if it's an asbestos issue or something like that. They can't get approval to use it. Every time we go by, we think, boy, there's a lot of housing for a lot of people.
It really is.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. I guess Jennifer, you're next.
Yes. And like Lauren, this week. We find that August is usually fairly fun. It's kind of an administrative catch-up month. One really active project at the moment is our PACER grant for the town of Normal, which we're administering for them. This again is funded by the state planning and research grant, which although it sounds like state money is in fact federal money that the Illinois Department of Transportation has sent our way for this project. It is underway, which is good news. And as of last Friday, the first staging process, which was mostly kickoff meetings and making people familiar with it and looking at the specifics of how these segments of the street should be assigned, that's complete. They've also completed 75% of the second stage, which is the actual pavement imaging that takes place in a vehicle that goes around and does this cool thing with lots of cameras and sensors and so on. So that is 3/4 done. They have completed 10% of the third stage, which is the start of the analysis. And of course, this uses their proprietary system, which they will be eventually conveying a license to the town of Normal to use. And as of, again, last week, they were about 40% through. So we expect to see this move on expeditiously. With all the imaging done, it's really a matter of going through the analysis. And that's all I really have.
Question for Jennifer?
Is it expected to be completed before the winter season?
Yeah, and it's before the end of the year. This project was extended a year. Technically, we have until next spring. But everyone involved, including the state, would like to get it done. The idea here is to make sure that we have comparable data for all three local governments, the large local governments. And this is kind of the last step in making that happen. And that will give us the option of looking at priorities and paving commission all across the urban area. So we're looking forward to having that data available, and it should happen, I would guess, sometime November or the latest December. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next item is the 5G project update. Yes, I assume you all know what that project is about by now. So the consultants they're working on the draft for the needs assessment report, and it's kind of going through review and whatnot. And so they're still anticipating sometime in the fall of 2021 to have that completed. So we'll hopefully by next month or so, we'll just have more progress in how they're doing in terms of the editing of that report. But that's primarily the updates.
Any questions for Ray on that one?
Okay.
Maybe proceed with Vision Zero and the OSAFE program.
Sure. Again, it's a project that I assume everybody's familiar with. staff will be making presentations to the full county board in middle of this month. Although we did present to the transportation committee, but we'll be doing the full county board middle of this month, which is good, so that the elected officials representing different parts of the county be aware of this traffic safety program. Then as we go further out on implementation, that would help us to not just covering the urban area, but as well as the rural areas of the county. And then in early October, we staff, along with the consultants, the consultants that work on this project will make a presentation at the American Planning Association, the Illinois State Conference to be held in Normal early October. And so this is a good opportunity for us to share with our colleagues, other planning colleagues, from other areas, local and other parts of the state. So I think this is a good opportunity for us to share, because this is really a kind of unique effort. And we applied and got selected, because not everybody applied, you will get selected to make those presentations. And so Jan and I will be presenting along with consultants at that conference. So that's all.
Well, congratulations on having your presentation accepted.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there any other business to come before the commission? Then I'll look for a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Mary, I hope you'll be back with us next time.
Yes, I will. And thank you so much for running the meeting. You did a great